After the conclusion of the Anima Cup, we assume that we have seen everything this patch has to offer and there are no new lines to explore. However, the off-meta connoisseur Wigwugg here decided to queue it up last night and climb 170 LP with Pyke and Jinx and Gragas reroll, putting up great results all across the board and sometimes competing against the highest caps in the game. With a quick look also in his match history before, he had tried it out once before in the scrims and a single time also before on the ladder, in total climbing 200 LP in NA Challenger by simply playing this one line. Therefore, with the new patch upon us, I thought let's use this chance to jump in game with Wigwugg, as I don't think this line is going to be hit in any other way. Therefore, it might be an interesting insight for ourselves going into the next patch as well, and a comp to consider playing. For those who do not know Wigwugg, he was a newcomer to the NA Pro circuit this set and managed to finish top 4 in points overall, which is amazing. Definitely one of the up-and-coming players in the NA region. Our gods for the game are going to be Soraka and Echo, and I would assume that we are mostly going to be leaning towards that. Echo Anomaly is absolutely great for your tank units. Big decision here already, opting to, instead of holding on to the strongest board, going to make 10. Obviously, whenever you are hard forcing these lines, you are going to need a lot of gold, and we are pretty clear on our direction we want to be taking. Holding on to these Primordial units, definitely a great way to angle into this line if you do not have exactly the opener for it. Get those extra resources, and pretty much a nice transition, since also it pairs here together with that Jinx we have. Quickly looking at our spot, we opted to make 10, so we are going to definitely be most likely playing quite on the weaker side. Nothing too interesting in our shops for ourselves, and our slam seems to be an even shroud. Now, if we are hard forcing a line, Pandora's items is definitely a strong augment for us to consider, especially from those weaker openers, right? We made gold since we're going to need to utilize more gold to hit the board we're specifically looking for, and that's why we can loss streak, accumulate that loss streak gold, roll these items until we secure strong items and spike our way onto that stage 3, which is where these reroll comps make or break their game. Warlord's Honor is also great if we had perhaps another piece. Start stacking up, have that spike going into the stage 3. Warpath, obviously, if we had a super strong board, is only when you consider this augment, but not when we are going to be hard forcing something. And our items are not exactly what we're looking for. I'll touch up on the itemization as we go through the game for our units, but Pandora's is going to allow us to fix that. Not going to be the strongest way to play this augment. Generally, you would play this to accelerate your item economy, but obviously hard forcing reasons is going to be good. Big Bang we cannot consider, not the line we're looking for, and otherwise the Meep Siege is so contested unit is very hard to hit. Seraphim Staff there, augment if you have an AP opener, and especially in the 2-component start, another slam to pair with it can be quite strong, otherwise the augment is on the little weaker side. We have the possibility now to be playing around those Primordials as well as we find that Briar, but oh, this is going to be an interesting one. We see Oboe there has the Gragas hero augment, so I guess we have to hope that we're going to outroll him. I think Wigwugg already called in chat he's going to be playing Pyke Jinx comp. So Oboe is going to be with Denton, that's another pro player from the APAC region, if I'm not mistaken. And we have to make decisions every single round on what items we are going to be holding on to. We can see we are not even opting to be playing for the strongest of the possible items. We're going to need Last Whisper since we are playing at a AD-centric comp, so that is fine. Slam for ourselves, but opting to save another glove. Regarding the itemization, now great time for us to touch upon as we are loose streaking. Jinx is going to love first that red buff. Red buff is a lot better for her than the Rage Blade unless you are running the Battle Bunnies. Then Dead Blade is the best damage item to pair together with her. IE is fine as substitute, and then you can look for another AD item, Kraken. IE has seen quite a bit of play, Giant Slayer, anything like that. Whereas for Pyke, we have the Infinity Edge and Edge of Night combo. Then generally you would be looking for Target Locked Optics as the best psionic item for him. Malware Matrix is fine, or any form of damage amp item. Even Hand of Justice for a little bit more sustain is completely serviceable on him in that way. And Gragas is just going to be taking out whatever tempo slams we can make for our frontline. Want to be having some frontline items going into that stage 3, as Jinx still is a little bit of a ramping champion in itself, going to need some time to kill off the units, but with the red buff, we have a lot of buffs from burst to be considering, and that's going to be great. Blessing of Prosperity, going to get buff next patch. We know that this is going to be quite weak. We do not have a Gragas right now either, so not going to have to stacking that. Scalapaddle, and I believe the stage 2 Scalapaddle is about 7 extra gold once you get there compared to the normal PvE round. Going to be great. We have made a lot of econ, picking up a bow here. Definitely looking to most likely be saving this. Although I have noticed that he also sometimes shies away from this red buff attack speed item build on the Jinx, sometimes seeming to go for a lot of burst. Perhaps it's part of it that with the Jinx, she spreads her ultimate, right? And if she's going to be able to hit that backline at some points, she is going to be able to synergize together with the Pyke to clear off the backlines, and sometimes Pyke can leave them on a little bit low HP. Opting to go for a level here and slot in Anima. Just another form of generating extra resources if you're able to cash out 100, 200, just an item and the couple of gold extra for ourselves. We were quite rich due to the early econ management that we went for, heavily relying on the econ. Have a possibility to be also immediately spamming Stoneplate. Stoneplate is not a bad item at all, since you quite often are going to be going for the positioning where you are spreading out your units in the open archway. Positioning, remember with the Katarina from set 15, Pyke is going to love that as well. Then you can move him around and be on the opposite side. He's going to have a clear path to walk up and snipe the enemy back lines. And we are going to be completing our 5 loss streak here. Definitely quite strong econ wise, especially with a Skull Puddle coming in. Hopefully we're able to transition our items into something worthwhile to be using. Opted to save the cloak there, and now we have a possibility to make a Kraken. Let's see if we're going to go with that. Opted to also go there for a position there. We are sacking the Jinx since we are level 5 to be slotting in this Primordial plus Anima board. And maybe there was another player contesting the loss streak. Gaining quite a bit of gold here. Have the component anvils. And opting to save that bow. Find another bow and a sword, making that red buff. Alright, so this game we're going to be going for that red buff. We want to have the anti-heal sorted out anyhow. And probably going to go with the IE Slam. Yeah, just waiting on our matchup. Q into Oboe here, who he had a jeweled gauntlet and the synthetic implants. I cannot blame this guy for wanting to contest this spot, but he might be stuck on the Gragas too for quite a while. We are full 6 loss. He seems to be a little bit on the mixed streak, and we have a lot of gold to be working with right now. For ourselves right now, ideally would be looking for an econ augment. Any kind of situation where you're contested. I would say you do not want to be contested on the reroll, but you're hard forcing, you are hard forcing. Definitely looking for some kind of econ at that case as well. Do not get the option, opting to hold on to the small grab bag just quickly. Again, going to look at the options we are offered. Corrosion, not going to work with our game plan. Barricade Vitality, I do not recall when someone looked like this. Is considerably decent on melee champions with the Omnivamp, but it's not a lot. Corrosion otherwise is decent dog, but if you're going for more of a fast 8 board where you have something like a Dark Star, this is great. Getting the frontline buffs for yourselves. Small grab bag just simply allows us to be spiking on the stage where we want to be strong right now. Makeshift armor, we have a lot of items already, and again, something like a Dark Star comp where you have the extra units that are on itemized quite good. Climb the ladder, your verticals, something like a Space Groove, not going to be worthwhile for ourselves. Hoping to save the tech. I thought that we're definitely going to be going for a roll down here. The thing when we are contesting, we want to be going for the option of undercutting the opponent, rolling before them, as we are obviously going to increase our odds. Then we're going to be rolling here. Perhaps second guessing decisions. Alright, stopping here, not going to roll too deep. Didn't really find what we were looking for right away. But we are queuing into the aura farming player who is quite weak. We have our full item slams, and Jinx E1 even with 3 items this strong of an item is going to be quite strong, and that ruins our Anima. So are we going to keep it and just try to push for 200 to trying to win, or we're going to be slotting in the strongest board we have ourselves? Yeah, slotting out these Primordians. Do not need to be holding on to them right now. Apart from the, yeah, we're keeping the Belvet to have the challenger for our Jinx. Do not making the strongest board. Obviously getting this remover on the Briar utilizing here would be quite strong, but they're picking up another win quite easily. So I would assume this might be just, you know, maybe drop out this Anima at this point. Was a nice attempt, but maybe not able to go for it. We are winning here, and we want to be picking up these rounds. We have also picked up a Kindred, so we can replace this bell without too many issues. For ourselves, 6 Statistician's health is not going to be much. If we had gone for full Animal Loss Streak, then you click this, but this is not a lot of value. 2-5 cost is just 10 gold. We definitely need gold as we did not hit that gold augment. I think we're going to be going with it. At least that would be my read, but maybe he values more HP having... He is going to value more HP, alright. He's going to want to be quite stable, and perhaps he's evaluating, alright, it's going to take us a while to hit since we are contested, so perhaps he wanted a little bit more of an HP cushion, as generally, whenever he succeeds in these games, he's hitting about around 4-2. Going to be picking up, we can just take a highest cost unit, but the sword is quite nice since we have that Pandora's. We can also opt to go for a Steroid Gauge Slam Inch form just to get a frontline item if you wanted to. Oboe here has fully 2-starred his board as well. Still holding on to these anime units, even opting to upgrade our Belvet, which is another single gold investment into there. Holding on to a Kali for some reason. And this Asol 2135, holy recombo. Oh, okay, it's recombo, at least somewhat justified, but has the perfect items almost for this LCL. That is quite strong, but you can see still only Asol remains, taking a narrow loss here. We have that perfect 200 though, immediately going to cash that out, get another frontline item. We even opted to slam that Steroid Gauge for a frontline item, and then we can just later, if we are able to improve our item situation, but transition that towards the pike is completely fine. Did not get in a what we were looking for this last spot, something like Meepsy. I would assume just a Voyager unit would be completely fine, or another Challenger unit is also quite good in this kind of a spot. But we have that Kindred and active there to activate our Nova as well. Rast is another unit we can be definitely playing into this comp once we're able to activate some of our traits. 6 Jinxes here, 5 Gragas's. Definitely Oboe is going to be quite envious of ourselves. You can see he does not even have a great psionic item. We have synthetic implants. I mean, item is an item, obviously, especially in the earlier stages of the game. But we do not have that AD items we're looking for. Very happy we have the Pandoras now, as we see a double rod tier drop. Cannot utilize that, and we get the early Gragas 3. Oboe is not going to be liking us right now. Now, we are on 4 pike copies, but we're definitely going to be rolling here till at least we find that Jinx 3. And then we might consider pushing levels if we are if we are still quite far away from the spike unit. Another IE to be made for this spike, so you can see this comp. If you are not playing it from a way to fix your items, you're going to be wanting to see a lot of swords and bows to generally be approaching this line. And the way he approaches this line, he seems to prior Jinx items usually first. He believes the Jinx to be a stronger of a unit. It's also less contested, as many players consider playing around the pike in the mid game for that Voyager, for that psionic item. And then simply you can also go for Maokai 3 if you hire a lot of copies. Last augment for us right now, climb the ladder again, your vertical. Glass Cannon actually could be quite useful as we get the damage jump for the pike. It's completely fine. Definitely better than Gilded Steel, because we do not have the slot for a 5 cost really right here either. So going to be definitely defaulting Glass Cannon. We have 2 item augments already, so you have my bow. It's not going to be a lot of value. We have 3 item damage dealers. Do not see worth in that. Tons of stats, just a generic combat option we could consider, but Glass Cannon should be stronger. Yeah, we do not have that much amp on our units, since we do not have that Deadblade combo right there, so this is going to nicely sort that slot for ourselves. Able to find the Jinx 3 and slight rolling here, finding that Meepsy for ourselves, not opting to play Tom Kench for extra resources. Have picked up a Kindred pair as well. Another Kindred could be picked up on these lower levels. It's generally not a lot of players play around her, especially if there are no Master Yi players. There were some rumors about some Kindred tech going into Anima Cup. Did not really see it happening right there. But she still is a quite of a viable carry right there. We are at these 4 pike copies though, probably giving a glance at Oboe at some point to see how he is faring and how many copies he has. We can see 6 pike copies, 5 Gragas copies. We are quite far away, and I believe that at this point we want to be capitalizing on our spike and maybe consider going for that play. We can see last second reposition to have this Gragas drop most amount of aggro, and then hopefully the spike is able to get there. Did not exactly manage to split the front line up, so he's getting to get stuck a little here onto this Jax, but then we make it there in the end, and Jinx has been able to front to back this Twisted Fate reroll comp from Crushings. Right now, we have to also decide which god we're going to be aligning ourselves with. This was the issue with clicking Soraka before. However, Soraka's Embrace, another thing that's getting buffed next patch, and, well, I don't think it's still going to be that great. Generally, this goes in later stages of the game on one of your shitters, let's call them shitters, the weak units, right? That do not really provide that much value. Okay, they get maybe the cast off because of the shield, but it's not going to generally go on your tanks unless you have like a solo frontliner, but even then it's not going to usually be the case. 5-cost shop, not something that we're excited about either, but we want to be picking up Echo here for the anomaly. Even though we have the item sorted out, we have this Kindred that we can still itemize as our third carry, and that seems generally be the direction he usually goes for. So we prio Jinx, then have sort out a tank alongside that, and opt going for the Pike, the last one, as he's generally more flexible in his item holds. And we replace this Meepsy usually with the Mighty Mech here. And then for our cap, we are fine to be just playing more Voyager units as we see fit. But you're not definitely going to be making it to level 9. You can also just toss in a Morgana if you feel like you need more frontline in certain matchups. But Gragas 3 surprisingly is not that bad. Going here against the Space Groove Nami board, that seems to be the ASOL player transition into that. Found that Space Groove emblem somehow as well. That player is having a game of his life. But going to be struggling against this high of a cap, especially until we reach that Pike 3 and are able to slap their backlines right there. Again, going for last second swaps. Now the Gragases are going to be on away from their strong side, but we jump onto that Zoe here. You can see what happens. The way you are opening up the front line, you have the potential to create these kind of plays, and it's amazing for ourselves to be able to pick up an easy win here because of it. For the next items, we're looking for something for our Kindred here. We have saved a cloak. That would have been Titans. Titans is the last resort thing. You could. Okay, I think we have to take this. We have rolled quite deep already. Deathblade Kraken is going to be quite great. 6 copies of Pike right now. And since we have 2-stars Kindred, we do not really have that much incentive to really be pushing the level 8 right now. Oh yeah, and you can slot in challengers as well. We're holding on to this MF. So another challenger is completely fine to be slotting in for you. Roll our 5-cost shop. Jin is something you can consider just for even more magic resist and armor reduction. Opted to move the... Right, we move the items onto the Kindred here as we have her 2-star. We do not have that Pike 3 just yet. And opted to move the red buff off from this Jinx, just going for that full burst damage build. And have the anomaly onto the Gragas so that the Pike is going to be holding onto that anima item for now. Obviously fine, if you are 3 itemizing your unit, you're going to be fine. Obo here has finally hit his Gragas 3, but we definitely did a lot of hit to his economy right there and has 8 Pikes. So now we are just hoping that he dies off at some point. We're holding on to these extra Pikes, as if he dies, we are completely fine to be... picking up, maybe even here on the level 7, our Pike 3 of our own. And we have a possibility to be chasing this Maokai 3 as well along the line. That's going to be quite expensive, and we have to, not paying that much attention. We have a Maokai 2 here. Do not seem to be considering it. Let's see if we are going to be pushing levels instead. Now against the Nam, this has Voyager plus Space Groove Emblem. This guy has a game definitely of his life, but the Pike makes it to the backline. If it was a Pike 3, it would be a clear, but you can see this I believe is the reason why he likes not having this full attack speed build, but rather just going full AD. We can see this Nami 2 here remains about at 200 HP. If we had the full attack speed build onto this Nami, I do not think this single couple of blasts from the Jinx would have been enough to clear off the Nami right there, eliminate the threat, and secure a win against the Space Groove player. Now just looking to find another item for our Pike. Deathblade again, great, just damage amp into him, has that even a little bit of survivability through Stairs Gauge, and we're opting to push levels instead. Obo here though is at 10 lives, so perhaps could have just, instead of pre-leveling, held on here and seen if we need to. If our plan is still to be chasing the Spike 3. Now against the Crushings, Twisted Fate, Worth Weight, Twisted Fate. Seems to be an interesting Stargazer board. The Jax 3 still not doing that much for him, and we're able to pretty much 7-0 and pick up the win. Obo has died, so we're going to be rolling here. We see we have the potential. Find the Mighty Mech 2. Yeah, another unit you can definitely be hitting on 7, especially since no one's really playing around the Mighty Mech. Now he can hold that anima item for ourselves. And we still have a Rastu to be fishing on this level 4, so we definitely have the potential to make our board stronger throughout of these rolls, not just rolling for one thing. Pike makes it to the backline, leaves the Sona there on a low life as well as Bard. Our frontline simply unable to hold at the moment against the fast 9 board, but we have secured our top 4. But even top 3 Crushings has also died. So maybe Pike 3 diff. Tough game for us. Had some high rolls here through the Kindred too. That we were able to pick on, and had the extra items for her to be itemizing and definitely pull together a stage 4 streak, even stage 5. This is where this comp, like, obviously you want to be hitting on 4 too, but once you hit, you are quite stable on these stages 4 and early stage 5, and this is very secure replacements. One copy away, going to be sending it quite deep for our last item here, just looking for perhaps, could have considered maybe an Eon and then move the Death Blade to the Kindred or something, but we're going to be sufficing here, wanting more frontline for our units to do work. Easy split from ourselves and able to get onto the backline. Now with Pike 3 we're able to clear off that Bard and Sona board, so we're going to be facing this final boss of a Space Group for one last time this patch. Pushing levels here, slotting in more Voyagers. Going to value more damage jump, I assume, than the pure attack speed onto this Jinx. Even though she doesn't have an attack speed item, my intuition tells that maybe we'll want a little bit more attack speed. Going to try to see if we can anyway scam this positioning to jump on that Nami once again. Have the Gragas in front, but the Blitzcrank is going to knock her back, and the Riven makes it to our backline and takes out our Jinx. So perhaps this is not the positioning we're looking for. Yeah, once this Pike gets on that Nami, we're definitely able to clear, but still this Radiant Ornn is an absolute beast. It's so much regen on him. Opting to consider option for Morgana, but it's going to be quite tough. We might be just one fight away from it all being decided. Have to see if there's any way. They have that Shen, so that we are fine to be more doing last second swaps. Going to backline our Pike, but they have so many frontline units, it's going to be quite tough for this Pike to get through there. Again, did not move our Jinx. Xander's Riven is able to get to the backline, does get stuck on the tank for quite a while, but now Blitzcrank is there, just not enough time. They have too much burst for us, too much frontline presence, and we are going to be losing the round, unfortunately. Nonetheless, a tough navigated sprot from Wigwugg, and definitely saw the potential of this line right here. Even though the Space Groove obviously outcapped us, everyone knows Space Groove is busted, but putting up great fight against all these boards, scamming rounds against Fast 9 boards even with the Spike, and Jinx being the key unit to stabilize you going into these stages 4. Little lucky that we managed to outroll Oboe here with the Gragas, especially without finding the Econ. But we had backup options, something. As I said, Maokai 3 is definitely an option you can be considering tanking, even if you find Mighty Mech 2. Or Ras 3 is a pickup you could be considering if you are forced to be rolling on level 7, obviously. And capped out the game nicely here with lots of items to capitalize and funnel power in our units. Definitely a line I would be looking out for going into next patch, as I do not think it's going to be hit in any meaningful way. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.